right? So a lot of us have these rules, right? I'm a rule person. I have a lot of rules. I have a checklist for everything, and I will tell myself these are the things that we are supposed to do, that we're not supposed to do certain things. And God has been really correcting me that no, that's not how that works, right? Um, yes, rules are important, right? We all have rules, but but we always got to leave that little bit of space for God to do what God is going to do. I share one of my rules, right? One of my theories, and I share how God broke my rule, right? God did not play the way that Tanisha plays. And I, so like when it comes to dating, I feel, and I'm making I statements because this is for Tanisha, okay? I used to feel strongly that if you were in like a financial crisis, you should not be trying to date, right? You should not be trying to date someone. That was what I stood firmly on for a while. Now, y'all, I don't know. A lot of y'all might be new. I don't know. But thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here for sure. But I had a really bad financial crisis back in 2016. And it lasted until about 2018. And I remember when that situation happened, in my mind, like trying to meet someone new was never in my cards, right? That was not something that I was like, oh yeah, let's meet a new guy. No, my focus was how I'm gonna get this mortgage paid. My focus was how I'm gonna get some food in this house. That was my focus. My focus was not on building a new connection, a new relationship. So that was my rule, right? So I had this really rigid rule. And so I wasn't on dating apps. If anyone was trying to approach me, I was like this, like tunnel vision. Like I'm focused. I gotta get the bag. I gotta get the bills paid. That's all that I cared about. And it's not a bad rule, right? So this is something that we see people talk about social media, relationship codes. You should have your stuff together financially, right? That is a really good rule. But when God has something that he needs to get done, he's going to break that rule, right? He's going to break your blueprint. And so when I met this gentleman told me, like, look, I want to still get to know you. So let me talk about a few things that I did, and this is going to bring reference back to the book. So in my book, the first thing that I do encourage people to do, anytime we meet someone that we are interested in, right? Again, this is where you have some form of interest. Doesn't mean it's going to be your husband or your wife, but anytime that we meet someone that we do like, I kind of can vibe with them. God, what am I supposed to do here? Right? You can have those conversations with God. And I encourage you because I think so often so many people close doors because of their rigid rules and because they did not have a conversation with God about this person at all. And then some people just let everybody in and they forget that they have a rule. And then God just be like, what about me? First thing that we need to do is get into a conversation with God. It can simply be, God, did you send this person into my life? Right? Every person, and I'm talking about the opposite sex, right? Or of any sexual interest that you have. That's how I'm gonna put it. Right. So if you meet someone and you especially if you're in a season that you're about to break your own rules, this is where you have to say to God, God, am I supposed to, did you send this person into my life? Right? If you get an answer of yes, you must move forward. Forget about what your rules say. Remember what I say. When you pray and if you hear a yes, then you must move forward. Forget about whatever your rules say, right? I didn't know how God was going to bless me. I didn't know who God was going to use. And this is something else that people have to understand. We don't know how the help is going to come. We don't know. It's not something that's going to be clear. We also have to remember the help is not always going to come from people that you already know. Okay? Because I was in that situation and told people, hey, I have no groceries in my house. And some people said to me, dang, I'm sorry to hear that. Right? So again, sometimes you have to allow the people that God is trying to send into your life at the new time. during the new season that we have defined as being this season that we're not to have any connections or no new people, whatever, however you want to categorize it. And then you're going to realize that this is what God needed for you to have. We create these rules because we want to feel safe and we want to be in control, right? So again, Tanisha's known for a checklist. Tanisha's known for a bunch of rules. However, that is not going to get the results that God needs. Okay. So God, he doesn't care about your checklist. His plans are limitless. He's like, I can do all things. And this is the reason why we can't shut out certain doors. Because if God tells you, yes, I did send you into this person's life, or I sent this person into your life, and you already in this mindset of, no, I can't receive new people right now because, oh my God, this is too much for me because I have this rule and my rules say, and God is like, if you allow me to be who I am, I can show up for you. Right. And when I met that gentleman, I try to block it. I know, I'm interested, but I'm not in the right space. I had the mindset, wrong, right person, wrong time, right? We have that kind of mentality. And the one thing that he said that allowed me to stop, because I knew this was God intervening, he said, I feel like God is bringing us together so that we can be a blessing for one another. And this was on our first date. And I'm looking at this boy like, boy, if he only knew what I was dealing with, because I wasn't like vocal and I wasn't really open about like what I was actually dealing with. I was just kind of like speaking in code and going all around the world. He didn't know the precise problem. He didn't know exactly what it was. I just was like, my life is in shambles. I don't intervene with new people until my life is back in order. And this man said, I feel like God is going to send us here together to bless one another. And within 2 months, God did. Okay, whatever happens, it's gonna fold because God is He's organizing this. He's putting this into your plate. So your wisdom is gonna tell you that you know your boundaries. But I want you to realize that faith is gonna say, stay open to how God may move beyond your plan. And when I say to you that story in 2016, when that man, we went on a date and this man sat next to me and I didn't say anything to him. I'm just sitting here crying, tears in my eyes. I needed food in my house, right? No one knew that I was dealing with this. No one knew. He didn't know. No one knew. My friends didn't know. And I'm just sitting here having this silent prayer with God next to a man that I just basically try to block out of my life because I was not in the financial stable life that I desired to be in, right? I was in my mindset is this is a no dating time because right now my life is in shambles and God put someone next to me into my life at that particular season because he said, I have a plan. And when I left that bookstore, we was at Barnes and Nobles. When we left that bookstore and that man stood in my face and he said to me, he said, do you need food? And how I looked at it as like, you want to go to a restaurant? I was like, sure, I can eat. He was like, no. I'm feeling like God is telling me to buy you groceries for your house. Blew my mind. Okay. Sometimes that's what God is going. He just needs that opportunity because you said that you needed help, right? And so because it's the new person that's coming into your life with the help, we try to block that. We try to block that new person from coming into our lives and helping us because we're waiting for the people that we are familiar with to come in and do whatever we think they're going to do. And I'm here to tell you, and I knew this from I'm speaking from firsthand experience. In 2016, God was sending nothing but miracle workers into my life to bless me. And I didn't know these people. I didn't have history with these people. They had no way to keep a running total of what I've done for them, what they've done for me. The people that, and this is no shade against anyone that I knew in that season, because I understand God needed me to have become open to how he can be a blessing. So this is why sometimes your rules are blocking your blessings. Your rules are blocking you from going out there and accomplishing and receiving such amazing things because you have placed these big rules that God said it's the time that you got to let me be him. Let me be God, and you got to put that rule to the side. That rule might have worked 364 days out the week, but this one day, this rule has to be broken because God has to do what he only can do. And so many people don't understand that. So you have these rules. Sometimes you got to be adaptable. Sometimes you got to be flexible. Sometimes you're going to have to break your own rules. And like, I need people to understand this is how deep it can be. It can get that deep. But you have to get that deep. You have to stand on your faith, right? So that's why being adaptable is a part of faith. Adaptability is a part of faith. But he uses these situations to stretch us and to show us that he's in control, not our little rules. Our little rules are not in control. He is. So it's time for you to start stretching yourself and allowing yourself to be used in that moment by God. Whether you're going to be the person to be the blessing or you're going to be the person to receive, whatever it is, this is something that you have to do. So, of course, I have a prompt for y'all because I can't go without having a prompt. Where have I created a hard rule in my life that God might be asking me to surrender to his wisdom and discernment? Where have I created a hard rule? And I've done this many a times. Like, this is the one about the guy is only one example. I've done this. This happened to me with jobs. I used to have this hard rule with my students because, I teach community, career development. And I would tell my students, like, if you see a job and the job hasn't, if the job posting is more than like 2 or 3 weeks, don't even bother. Unless it's something that you really, really want, then go ahead, take a chance and apply for the position. Oh, baby. Why did I say that? Because literally, God was like, yeah, I want you to apply for this job. In my mind, I'm like, this job has already been hired. I created this whole narrative. They done hire someone. The position has to be filled. This position is not. There's no way that it's still posted and it's been over. I mean, by the time I think I actually applied, it was probably like a month from when they actually posted the position, and I still applied, and that job was still actually available, and I actually got hired for that position. So it's like, we got to just realize we mean well when we put out these hard rules. We really do mean well, but it doesn't work out when God is like, no, I need you to do what I need you to do the way I need for you to do it. So I want to stop there.
Tune into Morning Inspiration with Friends. Meet us every morning, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. CT.
Grab your tea, coffee, or smoothie and join in live on YouTube and Facebook Live.